Okay, so this morning I went live and I shared with you guys that the parents of, or the adoptive parents of Orrin and Orson West have been charged with murder. At the time that I went live, it was just breaking, and I told you guys that I would update you guys on more developing information as it comes in. And it appears that there was a press conference by the DA, and the DA is giving us more details as it pertains to this case. And it appears that the boys were missing far long before it was actually reported. Now, I'm going to get into all of that after this intro. Now, if you are watching the replay of this, just move the cursor over a little bit and you'll be back brought current, but I have to give time for the live viewers to trickle on in. So I'm going to talk to you guys and give you guys the update right after this. Hey, what's up? It's your girl Neek, and you're tuned in to Neek at Night. If this is your first time here, over here we are the Night Owls. If you have not hit that subscribe button, I want you to go ahead and do that right now. This is a channel where I talk about celebrity news and gossip and give my opinion on trending stories. But just know, keep in mind that over here, this is an acquired taste. You know what I'm saying? This ain't for everybody, so proceed with caution. But still hit that subscribe button. Anyways. All right, so let's get on into it. So hopefully, as you guys came in, all right, so let's get on into it. Hopefully, as you guys came in, you guys were hitting that subscribe button and you are sharing the video and clicking on that notification bell. That's very important for our channel because it helps the algorithm. I know you guys hear that a lot from YouTubers, but it really does. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and we're going to get on into this. So, as you guys know, or some of you may not know, I reported on this story back in January of last year. The boys, Orrin and Orson West, they had went missing December 20th, or they were reported missing December 20th from their adoptive parents. Now, by the time I got wind of the story, it had been 20 days since they were missing. It was no arrest in the case. The adoptive parents had at that time did their first press conference, and they were looking shady as F. Like, it was very clear and apparent that they were hiding something. They were hiding information. There was a lot of people in the community who was basically trying to put pressure on the police department of California City to do more. And a lot of people didn't understand why more wasn't done sooner. So at that time, there was other agencies who was brought in on the case. I believe California City is a very, very, very small city, and they had to get the help of the Bakersfield Police Department, and also had to get the help of the FBI to assist them with this case. Now, as this case was uncovering, there was a lot of neighbors who had spoke out about this case, and none of the neighbors had seen the boys at all. Like, all of the neighbors, and even the ones who had surveillance footage, they showed on the footage how there was no boys that it appeared to be outside. There was no boys that it appeared to be at any point before or during the week of the claimed missing thing. And so it's surprising that it took a year to finally charge these two, because we kind of knew early on that something was very fishy about the story. But now today, both adoptive parents have been charged and booked with second-degree murder, and the DA is now saying that there is evidence that prior to the reported missing date that the boys had already been missing. Again, share this video as you come in, like the video as you come in, and I'm going to pull up what the DA is saying now, and I'm going to give you guys a refresher of what the neighbors were saying at the time as well. I'm going to give you guys some flashback videos of different people who were kind of trying to uncover things throughout this case. So let's pull up what the DA is saying as it pertains to an update. And this is an update. If you guys aren't familiar with this story, then I'm going to have some links down below to bring you guys up to speed on what I reported before. This basically is an update for people who have been following this story, and we're picking up from the last reporting. If you're new to this story, look and check in the links below after the replay, and I'll link you to, so you could be caught up to speed. Anyways, let's go. All right. So this is the new information right here.
In this case, we're going to take a live look at the district attorney's office right now. You can see everything is set up there in that room. We are set to begin in just about 4 minutes at 10 a.m. and we are going to bring that to you live. Here's what we know so far. Trezell and Jacqueline West, the adoptive parents of the two boys, have each been indicted for 2 counts of second-degree murder, 2 counts of child cruelty, and for filing a false report of an emergency. The charges are official confirmation of the worst fears of thousands of people who've been hoping and praying for the safe return of Orrin and Orson West. Even after 14 months of intense public scrutiny, we know very little about Trezell and Jacqueline West. Public records tell us that Trezell Philip West is 35 years old and Jacqueline Gabrielle Vasquez West is 32. Prior to last night, they had no local arrest records. In the last year and 2 months, there have been dozens of searches and scores of prayer vigils, but the Wests have never been seen attending. There's been
all right. So as you see there, these boys have been missing for 14 months. There has been a lot of public outcry, and there has been a lot of search parties, the family, the community, and so many people have went and showed up to try to search for these boys and get justice. And the very own adoptive parents were never in attendance. They never helped search. They never went to any vigils. And granted, the community was very upset with them, but I wouldn't care. If them was my adoptive children and I took them in as my own, I don't care who mad. You're going to have to see about me. I'm about to be out here searching as well if I know that they're truly missing. But the fact that they never helped and aided in any of the searches, never attended any of the visuals, we already knew that they knew that there was no point in searching because they knew where they were all along. And I'm glad that they are finally booked into custody. Let me skip this forward ahead and get some of the info from the district attorney. Let me take that off of the screen because, when you share too much of, these news outlets videos, child, they be trying to claim your video. Okay. So let's skip this ahead and see what they're talking about.
They were reported missing. Concerned citizens and individuals across the community and even across the country have been eager to do anything they can to help.
All right. Let me skip this ahead.
Good morning. My name is Cynthia Zimmer. I am Kern County's district attorney. I have information about Orrin and Orson West, the 2 young boys who were reported missing from California City 14 months ago. On December 21st of 2020, Orrin was 4 years old and Orson was 3 years old. Their adoptive parents.
All right. I'm going to be pausing this. If you guys want to see the whole thing in full without pauses, then you're going to have to go to the actual press conference, but I do have to pause it. So there was a lot of people who had questions about how come the boys were missing for so long and it went undetected. And as you see, the DA is telling you that they were 3 and 4 years old. So at the ages of 3 years old and 4 years old, they're not at the school level. They're able to enter into preschool, but it's not mandatory. So they were able to slip through the cracks and be unnoticed for some time. I believe when they finally reported the boys missing, I think they had, if I'm not mistaken, an upcoming visit to be checked on. And I believe that was also one of the things that was very suspicious, that, you know, it was finally about to be an upcoming visit for them to check on the boys. And then suddenly they, you know, had this report that they had come up missing. So I'm going to play a little bit more of it. But as you see, at the time, Orrin and Orson West was 3 and 4 years old.
Parents in California City, Trezell West and Jacqueline West, reported to the California City Police Department that the boys had disappeared from their backyard. The California City Police Department began a search for the boys in the area around their home. After a period of time, the FBI joined in the search, as did the California Highway Patrol and search and rescue from the Kern County Sheriff's Department. The community also came out to assist in looking for the boys.
All right, I've already shared that information. Let me skip ahead some.
Parents reported them missing. However, I am pleased to announce that this week, the Kern County Grand Jury indicted Trezell and Jacqueline West, the adoptive parents, for the murder of Orrin and Orson West. The indictment charges 5 counts. The first count is murder. Charges them both with murder, with the victim being Orrin West. The second count charges murder, with the victim being Orson West. The third count charges felony child abuse against the person of Orrin West. The fourth count charges child abuse against the person of Orson West.
I hate how she's saying the charges. It's like, we know it's 2 boys. Say it's a count for each boy for child abuse. It's a count for each boy for murder. It's a count for each boy for this. The way she's saying breaking down the counts is a little bit, it's annoying me a little bit. I'm sorry. We know it's 2 boys, so it's a count for each of them. Whatever.
And the fifth count charges false report of an emergency. Naturally, the first 2 counts carry the most time in state prison, murder. It is charged as murder in the second degree.
Oh my God. Like, we know that murder oh my God. Hold on. Let me get. She's. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit agitated. I don't know, but she's irritated me.
The district attorney's office then presented information to the grand jury, and the grand jury found there was sufficient evidence to hold Trezell and Jacqueline West responsible for these murders, and they returned what was called a true bill. So oftentimes we call it they were indicted, but what they did is returned a true bill on the indictment. Department 1 Superior Court judge issued warrants for the arrest of the defendants, and they were arrested last night at about 7 p.m. in Kern County. They are currently in the Kern County Jail waiting for an arraignment on the indictment, which will be tomorrow. There will be no preliminary hearing in this case because an indictment is a substitute for a preliminary hearing. In this case, will proceed directly to trial. The announcement.
Okay. I heard that. They said we about to just book their butt straight to trial. We about to pass go, and we about to go straight to trial. We ain't about to do no hearing. We ain't about to do nothing. We done already got enough on these fools, and we going straight to trial. We pass and go. We ain't collecting $200, and we going from A to Z, and just like that. Just like that. Just like that. I heard that. Okay. Let's continue.
Of an indictment in this case probably raises a lot of questions. Questions about the facts of the case and what you and the public would like to know. I'm not permitted to go over the facts of the case in this case, but there is something that I'd like to discuss because the facts of the case are to be what we produce in the jury trial, because we want both the prosecution and the defense to have a fair trial in this case. However, one of the questions that I'm sure you would like to know is, have the bodies of Orrin and Orson been found? And the answer to that is no, they have not been found. However, I would like to emphasize that the fact that law enforcement have not found their bodies does not preclude a murder prosecution. As a matter of fact, there have been many hundreds of what we call no-body homicides prosecuted across the United States.
All right. So that was one of the big questions right there. A lot of people have been asking, have the bodies been found? Has the bodies been recovered? And hopefully now that they're booked, I don't know if they'll probably try to give them leniency on some type of aspect of the charge to where they say, hey, we'll drop down something so that you guys can tell us where the boys are, blah, blah. Hopefully they will give up the location of the remains of the boys so that they can get a proper resting place and a proper burial for them. Because it's like, listen, y'all are guilty as charged. You're guilty as charged, period. But that was like one of the big things that a lot of people wanted to know. Have they been recovered? And they have not. At this point, they have not been recovered at all. So again, I have to pause it and interject stuff that they clearly state. That's just how YouTube works. If you want to see it in full, you can search for it on your own. But we are going to be going over several things and giving you guys refreshers in this live. So let me play some more.
Successfully, and even no-body homicides have resulted in murder convictions in Kern County. I'd like to introduce the people who are standing here with me today, who have been crucial in bringing this case forward. Eric Smith is the person to my right here. Eric Smith is the supervisor of the homicide unit at the DA's office. Next to him is Brian Estep, also a homicide prosecutor in the DA's office. And these two gentlemen are the people from my office who presented the evidence to the grand jury. And this grand jury hearing began 3 months ago in December of 2021.
All right, so if you guys have been following this case, these are two totally different men from the officer who was giving us all of the updates in the onset of this case. A lot of people felt like the one main detective that had kept giving updates was very dropping the ball. And as you see, these two gentlemen right here are two new fresh faces, and they're the ones who basically presented the evidence.
Mr. Smith, would you like to come say a few words?
On behalf of myself and, of course, Deputy District Attorney Brian Estep, we'd like to thank the allied agencies who worked tirelessly throughout this investigation. That includes also the Kern Regional Crime Lab and also the DA investigators in this case. Kern County law enforcement worked together at first in an attempt to locate Orrin and Orson West. And as that continued, it turned into the investigation into the disappearance and ultimately the homicide of the two boys. The lead investigative agencies, Bakersfield Police Department, California City Police Department, they worked tirelessly throughout the course of this over a year since this occurred to follow up on leads and complete the investigation.
Oh, there you go. This is the one who, the one to the far right. Hold on, let me pull it up. This is the one who we kept getting so tired of him, child. This one right here to the far right is the one that I was referring to, where I was like, the other two guys were new faces. This is the one who kept on like talking, and he just was annoying the crap out of everybody because he just did not seem like he was doing what needed to be done, and it just was not giving what needed to be gave. But let's play some more.
That was continued even throughout the grand jury hearing. The indictment itself took approximately 3 months. Over 50 witnesses testified during the course of the indictment. Much of those witnesses' testimony was extremely emotional as it related to this case. But that's to be expected from a case that involves the murder of 2 innocent children. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
All right. So she's going to eventually give us I guess an update that there was basically information that showed that the boys had been missing prior. But before she goes into that, and before I play more of the press conference, I'm going to give you guys a refresher. Now, there was a lot of boots on the ground as it pertains to these missing boys, and there was a lot of community as far as neighbors, people who lived just in California in general. I remember Alfila, my co-host, he even had drove up to California City, and he had basically shot a video and try to see what he could see. Also, I'm gonna bring Alfila up to basically give his thoughts on them being charged, and then I'm gonna give you guys a refresher of what the neighbors were saying, and then we'll circle back to the press conference. Wait, Alfila, where'd you go? Right when I say I'm gonna bring him up, he get up.
Moving my Wi-Fi over. How's everybody out there doing? It's been a while, but glad to join you again. Neek, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, my phone was kind of glitching a little bit, so I moved over my Wi-Fi so y'all could hear me clearly. But man, it's such a sad case of what happened to these boys back in 2020, and it's even more sadder to find out that they were dead 90 days before they pulled the shenanigans and tried to say that they walked off or whatever they did. Just in listening to what's going on and everything like that, I think what they're going to possibly do to find the bodies is they're going to work a deal with either the foster mom or the foster dad. That's
Right.
usually how they can kind of bargain.
Give them leniency as it pertains to something to get, the information.
Yeah, what they usually do is, like, for instance, the first person willing to talk that strikes a deal first in a scenario like this is usually the one that's going to get the lesser time. Just looking over here at my notes that I took, it says in the second-degree murder and this kidnapping, they can get from 30 to life in prison. So I'm sure somebody's going to be willing to talk. And one thing they're going to have to, I don't like to use these words when we talk about kids, but just for the sake of people to follow us, to bargain with is where are the bodies? Because that's what their family want to know. And I'm sure their family want to give them a proper burial, and at this point, even if they lead them to the bodies, depending on where they bury them at, it could just be skeletal remains, by dogs or something, you know what I mean? Yeah, so the best thing at this point can happen is they could just tell the whole true story and give the kids a proper burial, and be chastised for what they did, It just seems like they maybe lost they way a little bit, My sister does foster care. She got 4 kids right now in foster care. They call me Uncle Al when I go over there. I love them to death. But I always, when I see them, I try to show them some extra love because I know there's a lot of foster parents out there that really don't, they really just don't show them that care, especially if they got other kids. They kind of favor their kids sometimes. But at the same time, you got beautiful foster parents out there.
They're doing it for the check.
A lot of people do. But on the same side, on the flip side, because I'm sure we got a lot of viewers that are foster parents or know someone, there's a lot of great foster parents like my sister. Wonderful foster parent, never had kids. So it was just like a blessing from God for her to get those kids. And she treated them like one of their own. But I don't want to prejudge these two. But when I drove to California City and I just looked at where the street was, and it's a field right next to the house, and it's a very tight community, very tight street. It would be hard for 2 babies to be walking down the street and nobody see them. In the cold, that would be very peculiar. So I always felt it was something going on with the 2 parents. And I'm just looking forward to see what the story really is. Hopefully one of the two or both, they'll tell what really happened, you know?
Correct. All right. Well, thank you, Afila. Don't click off. I'm gonna bring you down really quickly so that I can share. Or matter of fact, no, I'm gonna leave you up. Let me share basically a play-by-play from the neighbor. Now, this was basically footage from one of the neighbors who told that they never seen the boys there. There was a lot of different neighbors who gave accounts and they were like, I never seen any kids here. I never seen any boys outside. And they were outside working, doing construction. And there was even another neighbor who had surveillance footage, and a YouTuber by the name of AV Watchman, he had went out and shared some of the footage from the night in question that they claim that they had reported these boys missing. So first, I'm going to share a video from a YouTuber by the name of Slim Hoffa. And this is where one of the neighbors said that they had never seen the boys before playing outside. And then I'm going to share some of the surveillance footage from AV Watchman that he got from a neighbor that was there as well. So let me. All right. So the YouTuber who documented this video was posted February 3rd, 2021, and this is Slim Hoffa. So definitely show their page some love because they were boots on the ground and getting information. So they are Slim Hoffa.
Hey, I have a YouTube channel about crime. Can I ask you a question about what's going on here, if that's okay? So you never see nobody with children here, just the lady.
When I'm here working, and the time when I come with my friend right here, I never see nobody in the house.
Wow.
So like you see like this, it's like this all the time. You start working here, and I hear about this story.
Yeah.
Freaked out.
People are busting their windows. People are.
Some I think people related with the kids, you know, like
Yeah.
this family, the real family, and I think guys not invested too.
No, I heard they're cooperating.
I see a couple times come around here.
Yeah.
But
What do you think happened?
I have a kids, you know, and my kids 5:30 in the morning. He's never out, always sleeping.
Right. So you don't believe them, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So you could tell he probably kind of like limited English, but he basically said he ain't never seen them outside. So, that was kind of weird. Let's go to AV Watchman. Now, AV Watchman has been giving updates throughout the entire year and has really, really, really dedicated a lot of time to trying to find information and updates about these boys and has followed through and through with trying to find information, trying to uncover anything, pressing the family, like even going, finding out where the mama and the daddy of the adoptive parents stay, going and pressing them. Like AV Watchman was really on it, trying to get justice for these boys. And there was a lot of people who just wanted answers. And this was surveillance footage that the neighbor had shared and gave a play-by-play of their strange behavior the night that they claimed that the boys were missing. Okay. So if you are on YouTube, the YouTube channel that this video comes from is av.watchman United We Stand. And he was very, very, very instrumental in getting a lot of witness accounts. So show his channel some love as well. And if you go to his channel, you can see so many different updates that he kept current with. Right now, this is the surveillance footage of the night.
All right, guys. So he had to turn the lights off real quick. That way you can see a little bit better.
All right, so this is the time he's gonna report his kids missing. So it's 4:31. He's gonna come out right now. You'll see him come out.
Okay, so what we're looking at, guys, is here. See that van? So he's gonna come in outside any moment now to make it to call.
Well, he's gonna look for his kids apparently, but you're gonna see how he does it and what he does. You know what I mean?
Okay.
There you go. So the light came on. You see it?
Which in the front?
Yeah, the front little like he opened the side door. You see the door open?
Okay, the door's open to the van. Yep.
Yeah, you see it?
Yep.
So he's gonna hop in his van right now.
Hey, can you guys see this video? Hit 1 if you can see it pretty good.
All right. And so when they had, I'm gonna pause it real quick. So when they went to the news and they had spoke out, they had given times of when they called the police. And this is the actual neighbor catching them trying to come up and concoct this story in real time and looking and seeing how suspicious it all was. Like, it did not make sense. Their movements, their actions, even the way that they searched for the boys, it just did not make any type of sense whatsoever. Again, this footage comes directly from AV Watchmen United We Stand. And you can like blow it up and make it bigger on your screen. If you go directly to his channel, you can, blow it up and make it bigger and everything like that. But because we're on StreamYard, it doesn't let me make stuff bigger or smaller or exactly how I could in other programs when I stream.
Okay, so he turns his van on, dog.
Okay.
So apparently he's looking for his kid, but it takes him about a minute just to sit in his van and turn his car on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And he didn't even look in the front yard, nowhere on the sides. You see it?
Nothing.
He didn't come up the street. So he hops in his van. I mean,
Look at.
I don't think he's going in a speed where you're searching for somebody. You're going pretty fast. You know what I mean? You made that turn right there. You're not looking for nobody. You know what I mean?
Okay, where's he going?
He makes that turn, right?
That right here by his house?
So, I mean, you gotta figure your kids are missing. You don't know which direction they went, right?
Right.
So he takes off that direction for I don't know what reason, looking for his kids. But we got lights, Christmas lights on this side. We got a big open lot. He's got his fence line right here. He didn't even come out to look behind his fence line.
He didn't do none of that shit.
None of that shit. I mean, your kid missing. Why would you jump in your car?
Yeah.
You're gonna.
Yeah, of course.
Correct.
You guys just seen that, right, guys? So he walks out. He freaking gets in the van. He doesn't even come to look in this area here.
No neighbors.
He's not running down the street, freaking looking this way. He's not running that way.
He sits in the car.
He sits in the car. He gets in, starts it up, warms it up for a little bit, and then he just casually drives out.
So about 4 minutes, he's gone. So let me fast forward.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. And so it's like if you have two small boys, 3 and 4 years old, and they go missing and they were playing in the backyard, why would you get in your car and drive off before you canvass your area first? Like, the first instinct, if your kids were playing in the backyard, you're going to look all around the lot, so that was very suspicious from the neighbors. And I'm sure this evidence and this surveillance probably will, I'm almost positive that this video was a aid in helping indict them, because it didn't make sense. How your kids missing? You say they were in the backyard. You say that they were playing in the back and it was cold, and then you went in the house and then you went back outside and they were missing, and you don't go around the perimeter of your lot. You have all these empty vacant lots right next to your home, and you just get in your car and drive away for 4 minutes and then come back, and then like it just didn't make sense at all. Alfila, what are your thoughts so far on what the neighbors is showing?
I agree with you totally because I think what that was an attempt for them to get their life straight, you know, just within their own soul, you know, like, let me just drive around, let me act like I pull back up and let me call the police. But at this point, someone obviously is giving the police some good information. And I think the information that they're giving them is these kids been going 3 months before we even made that call. And so that video only proves that this whole thing was a concoction. Everything was a lie. And for them to have that video footage, I say 90 to 100%, they're going to use that footage in court too, because it shows exactly what the young man was saying on the tape. If you call the police, you know, a few minutes later, frantic, why'd you just do this little 4-minute turnaround? What was that about? So I don't think he was really looking for the kids.
They're young, so if they walked outside of the yard, they're not gonna get that far, you know. So why you get in your car and not walk up and down the street yelling their name, Orson, hey, where you at? You know, like yelling. You don't even see them. The woman, like the dad goes outside, but you don't even see the woman outside. Like any sensible parent who has other children, also all the kids, we all gonna be outside and going up and down. You only see the dad get in the car, drive off for 4 minutes, but the woman you never see her in the video. So it's like, what was you doing?
Yeah, because the average mom is gonna just start banging on doors. She's gonna be saying, "You see my kid?" You know, the dad could have got in the truck because like he wanted to cover more territory. That would have made sense if you would have seen the female come outside and at least attempt to knock on some doors or to get other people involved. It almost seemed like they didn't want anybody to get involved. Like they just wanted to call 911 and keep it between them two and keep their story real tight. Because had they got other people involved, then they know they got more witnesses who could say, well, they didn't seem upset or they didn't seem scared or they just didn't seem like they seemed like they were faking it. So I think that's why they didn't get more people involved because they already knew what they had done. And they took some time to plan this. And this just happened to be the day that they said, okay, today is the day. We got to move forward. We got to call the police before they get on to us. And we got to get ahead of this thing. And that was just some of their frivolous attempts to try to make it look like they were looking for him. But what they didn't know is it was caught on tape.
That neighbor had that surveillance.
So that's gonna tell the real story when he tried to tell what he did that day. And see, a lot of times these people don't know all this stuff that's out there. You know, they don't look at the internet and probably watch these YouTuber channels, but they probably told a story completely contradictory to what that video shows. And that's just another piece of evidence. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's play some more of it.
Appreciate you doing this. All right, guys. So this is a neighbor, man. This dude's awesome. He has it on.
So
wait, I see the van is just there right now.
So this is 35.
Who's this? What's this?
It's just a shadow. It looks like a car, but it's not. It's just a shadow right there.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So
that's a shadow, bro?
Yeah, bro. I know it looks like a car, but it's not.
Okay, so
you see him back there? He's driving back
that's him. That's him. So he's in the field right now, right?
He's our little streets back here, but the field starts like about
okay,
a little higher than that. Maybe,
yeah,
but it's still residential right there where he's living.
Okay, so that was him that just came from right here.
Yeah, but he's on the street, two, 3 streets.
So
you see him coming?
Yeah.
See him? Bam.
Yeah.
See that car? Headlights. So
okay, so there he is again.
He came back. That was about 4 or 5 minutes. He was gone.
He was gone 4 to 5 minutes.
And the woman never came out. You never see her come out or anything.
And as you guys see, even on the timestamp as well, he was only gone for maybe 4 to 5 minutes. Boom, there he is.
So he comes, opens the door, gets out, goes in front of his house, and just stands there, bro. You know what I mean? You see him?
Yeah.
He's just standing there. He's not looking for no kid.
Yeah, he's not.
So he's standing there. He'll stand.
He's behind the tree right now, right?
Yeah, he's behind that tree where he thought it was a car, because it was like a shadow.
Yeah, yeah.
And he's just standing there, bro.
Look, so this freaking lane is, he's not looking for no kids, bro.
Now he's walking back. He's not looking for nobody. You see him. He didn't come this way. He didn't look on that fence.
No.
And you could see his backyard.
Yeah.
If anybody walks in that backyard, you would have seen shadows. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So he's not even in his backyard looking for no kids.
None. What was that? I just see something.
Yeah, it was
right
a dog.
Oh, okay.
Dog. So if you see the dog again?
Yeah, you can see the dog.
Yeah, so if it was a human, you would have
see
seen it way better, bro.
Of course.
To see a little dog, you know?
Yeah.
So you would have seen somebody back there searching, looking, and he's got a big backyard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
shed, back shed behind it. You know what I mean?
So he's still right now. Is he on the phone right now, or?
So what happens is he pretty much stands there right in front of his house for about another 5 to 6 minutes when the cops pull up. So at this point, I believe he already called the cops.
Okay.
Assuming from the reaction time and the arrival time of the police, you know?
All right. So I'm gonna bring Alfila up and talk to the people while I pull up their interview when they first gave their press conference and how it was all shady.
Well, one thing I want to say is this is a cautionary tale, to a lot of people out there that want to get into, maybe the adoption, or better yet, want to get into the foster parenting system. Make sure you got the right motives, you know what I mean? Because a lot of times, I think people do chase the money because it's a lot of money. You figure you got 4 kids, you're usually going to make about 11,000 a month. You know what I mean? And that's a high motivator for people to want to get into, fostering. But one thing you got to realize, man, are these are live human beings. What you say?
You say they gonna make how much a month?
If you got 4 kids, you usually make about $3,500 a kid. I say from 25 to 35.
I don't think it's that high.
Trust me, my sister got 4 kids. Yeah, the minimum you're gonna make is $2,500 a kid. Check it out. But we got special needs kids, so it's like $3,500 a kid. But the point I'm making is, if you enter into something like that, understand that it's not a job. It's really you being a parent to some kid for whatever reason has become, involved in the foster system, and they're hoping, and they're banking on a good parent. These kids been bounced around from home to home. A lot of times they don't even make it to a home for a while. They just be in other facilities, like out in Beaumont, California. They have the it's called Jerry's Kids or something like that, and it's a facility with like 200 kids in there. It's heartbreaking, and they all waiting to get placed with a family. So I would just say, like, before you get into something like this for the money, have your heart in the right place. Because if you're in it just for the money, just like anything else, it's not going to last long, and you're not going to stay, that parent that they need you to be long, because you're going to get irritated, you're going to get frustrated, and then you might start looking at them like not even really your children and more like a job. So
yeah. I think the 11K number probably is unique to your sister. That seems very high. Even with children with disabilities, that seems very, very high. That those numbers sound very high. But people do make money off of having kids, and that is the big motivating factor. I don't know if it's 11K a month, but they do make money, and that is the sole purpose and reason for a lot of these families to get these kids. There is no love in the home. A lot of cases, some people do go and do it out of love because they love and want to be better for the kids. My mom, she took into foster kids, and she wanted to provide a nurturing, stable home and really poured into those girls. But there are a lot of people who just do it just because it's a paycheck, what I want.
And let me clear something up real quick, because I don't want to make this about money. I was talking about the total for 4 children. I wasn't talking about her kid. I don't know, maybe you thought that.
I know you said total for 4, but I think that's still a little bit high.
Because I'm looking it up right now and it says 2609 per month. And when you say with special needs, it says 3507. And you multiply that time 4. It's actually more. But I don't really know my sister's business. What I'm saying is it's very alluring to a person who does the numbers and figure, I just want to hop into this and I want to get paid. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And not only do they do that, they give them what's called stipends, and that's for like clothes and different events. And they have it set up to where if you want to take off for a while, and I advise a lot of foster parents to do this, you can actually get what they call a I'm losing my words right now, but it's a word that they have where you can send it to you can send the kid to other foster parents. Like you need to go to a funeral, you're going on a trip, anniversary, or you just want to take some time off. You know what I mean? It's called a hospice. You can get a hospice for a couple of days. And I just think that a lot of these counties that place these kids, they're so overwhelmed with these kids in the system. They go and do a background check from the perspective of like criminal, and they talk to you, you know, and they try to fill you out. And if you qualify, they start placing kids in your house right away. But I don't know how they do the background checks on like your character or your or you know, like say your code of conduct. It's hard to figure those things out, right? So you really could be putting them in a worse situation because you're dealing with so many kids. I know my sister, she gets calls in the middle of the night, and it'd be abusive situations where they need to place the kid that night. Because sometimes they don't have places where they can say, oh, the kid can go here for a couple of days. So they're calling all around to these parents and they're saying, hey, we got 2 twins. Can you take them? We got this girl. Can you take them? And they kind of figure things out a little bit later as they go. And then they say, no, this is not a good fit for this house. But, you know, I think everybody's trying to do the best that they can. So I just say to people that's thinking about getting into this foster parenting system, that just know, man, it's challenging. It's just not a bunch of money and you don't have to raise no kids. You really got to raise the kids. And I would say this is for people who might can't have kids or people who really, really got a heart for kids. I think that's who should enter the fostering system because it's real challenging if you don't have the right perspective and the right patience to deal with these kids.
Money reside. I mean, it sounds good, but if you quoting numbers and they like, I ain't gotta go work a clock in a 9 to 5. I'm going where the money resides. So that's what
that might have been my bad for doing that. I might have spilled a little bit too much information, but I'm always trying to educate people just on the 360, you know, view of the whole scenario. And I know sometimes that's why you get a lot of people.
I understand what you're saying. You saying don't go into it unless your heart is right. But people go into stuff to just pay their bills and survive. But I'm gonna move on from that point. I kept seeing when I first covered this, I kept seeing this false statement. And Simone, thank you for supporting my channel, but you are 100% not correct. There are some cases of adoption where you do not get paid, so you're partially right, but you're not correct all across the board. There are some adoptions that you do get paid for. So if the children started out as foster children and you adopt them, then you will continue to get paid. I kept seeing this when I first covered this story, and when I've covered other adoption stories, people automatically say, oh, well, when you adopt kids, you don't get paid. And that's not true. That's not true across the board.
It depends on how you adopt them. Just like you said, if they're in the foster system, because we have adopted 2 little girls. Not we, but I say we because they're in my family. But we have adopted 2 of the little girls that came through the house, and they both get different payments because they're from different counties. But they still do get payments. It's much lower than being a foster kid. But I understand where she's coming from. Where she's coming from is if you just have a kid from whatever scenario and you go adopt, sometimes they won't give you money. But it depends on the scenario.
No, I think that she thinks that you don't get money when you adopt, which is not a true across the board. Because a lot of people think that. They think when they hear adoption, they think of these, you know, these white Lifetime movies where the 2 parents couldn't have children. So they go to this adoption agency, they got to pay, or they, you know what I'm saying? They got to sift through a book and find a kid. That's not how adoption is working a lot of times. Like a lot of people have these movie ideas where, you know, the 2 parents go into an office, they pick out a book, they look through a book and they pick a child. That's not how it works a lot of the times. Like, it's very much not that often. You know, a lot of adoptions are ciphering through the foster care system, and those are paid. Now, like Alfila said, they're not paid at the same rate as a foster kid, but what a lot of people will do, because once you adopt the child, you will get a less pay, but you will get less visits. The foster care agency, they have a caseworker in place to where you have to, every so months, they have to come in and check in. When you do the adoption, you get a pay cut, a little pay cut, but that eliminates that caseworker from coming to your house on a frequent basis. So people will take that pay cut for less intrusion, you know, so the people will be less intrusive when you do adoption. But I'm gonna play some of the actual footage from when the boys went missing. Let's get back on track to that. Let me play when they actually had their press conference and how they were very shady.
For all the support we've seen, we've felt so helpless, and seeing everybody out here really looking and helping out really means a lot.
So, tell us what happened the night the kids went missing.
Okay. From our yard.
They look a damn mess. These people said, tell us what happened the night the kids went missing, and they said,
she mumbled my yard, something in my yard, and then he goes, "Oh gosh!" Like I think him wearing that full frontal half a face bandana, I think he was trying to cover up his emotions, and he didn't really want them to really be able to gauge him and his facial structure of, you know, is he telling the truth or not? Because he almost looked like a ninja. And I seen, it's crazy because when they talk, their body language and their emotions and their whole affect is kind of mild to be missing two little kids. You know, most people hands will be all over the place while they explaining stuff. Tears will be coming down their face. They be anxious. You know, I just don't see none of those emotions that I would think would be normal. I know everyone's different, but it just doesn't seem like they have any type of urgency to get their story out, and they just don't have that tone. You know, it's almost like their whole conversation is monotone. You know, you would think it would be just so high pitched and just, you know how people get at a funeral, you know how people get, you know, when they just excited about anything, or they just feel a great sorrow, and they just don't fit that vibe to me right there when I watch that clip right there. I don't feel it personally. I don't know how the viewers feel, but I don't get that from that interview. And that's an old interview, and it still seems the same. I try to find something in it, but it just seems like two liars trying to do their best to persuade those that's listening that not even so much help us find these kids, but we didn't have nothing to do with it, and we don't know where they are.
Yeah, let me play some more of it.
Okay. From our yard.
Okay. It was cold. I was gonna make a fire. There's a lot of wood in this area right here next to our house. I open up the back gate. I'm throwing wood, bringing it inside the house. My wife's inside. She was actually wrapping gifts, so we thought it was a good idea that they got our youngest to go outside and play with chalk on the back patio. Do not let them go on the dirt in the backyard. Keep them close. So I was playing with chalk, and I came in the house. I saw them there. I went in the house. I came back out. I didn't see them there. I immediately went back in, asked my wife, "Did you see the boys?" She said, "No, they should be outside playing with chalk." I said, "Well, I didn't see them." So I came back outside and I started searching my backyard. I searched the whole thing. I realized that I left the gate open, and I panicked, came inside the house, searched the house, me and my wife.
All right. And so as you see right there, they're saying that they went outside, they searched the backyard, and they did all this. But as you've seen, the neighbor had surveillance. You didn't do none of that. You wasn't in your backyard searching for anything. You weren't looking for anything, and there was no kids back there because there would have been shadows of the kids back there, and y'all didn't do none of that at all. While they looking back and forth, oh my wife, it's just complete and utter BS. It's BS.
Well, you know, most of the time, whatever you keep the main focus on, that's what you really, really, really trying to protect. And I didn't really hear him say too much about the way he was trying to do anything but explain his story very articulately. Like, I went outside, I realized I left the gate open. It's like he'd been practicing that. It rolled off his tongue just too easily. You know what I mean? It didn't sound natural, like he was just recalling an event. It almost sounded like, okay, it's showtime. Get these lines right. And he just said it just like that. He rolled it off his tongue. And she just rocking back and forth because she waiting for them to ask her a question, and she trying to get ready. And
Yeah,
it just don't seem right.
lines.
They lying off top. It don't seem right.
Right. Let me play some more.
Once that didn't pan out, I got in the van. I looked down the street, both directions. It was getting dark, getting cold, and I got in the van and I hit a bunch of corners. I went down this street. I turned my light on. I searched. I called their names. Talked to a gentleman on the street on the other side over there. He didn't see me. So then I came home and I told my wife we need to call the cops. It's getting dark.
Like, why would you drive down the street and talk to a neighbor across the street and not talk to your neighbors that are right there?
And I need help. We got to get going. So I called the cops. Cops came. First thing they did was tell us to stay in the house so they can get a hold of us. And they had us just sitting there, and we wanted to keep searching. But everybody came out in droves. And I wanted to thank you guys that night, but we couldn't go outside.
The cops told us the best are out here.
The best are out here searching. And we appreciate it. And nobody ever could tell, we could never talk to anybody. And that was the issue.
Like, what parents is going to listen to some damn cops who say, what's better than you? You the parent, they was in your custody, you know them the best. How you going to let a cop tell you the best are out here searching when you should, these kids been in your custody, you should know them better than anybody. So the best should be you looking for them and searching for them. That makes absolutely no sense. Talking about the cops said the best are out here, so that's why we didn't go out looking for them.
We just want to thank everybody.
We really want to thank you guys.
Please, if anybody has seen them, please call, let somebody know.
Call the cops. Call California's the city police department. Call them and let them know what you've seen, if you see anything. Our boys, they are going to be rambunctious, okay? They are going to be here in this area. And I really would like to go in the houses, but it's not because I want to invade people's privacy. I just want to know.
Well, if you really want to go into the houses, why you didn't knock on none of the houses' doors when you thought that they was missing? And then they're going to be really rambunctious. Okay, well, you wasn't directly in your neighborhood looking for rambunctious kids.
Hey, you know what? When you have a problem like this with your kids missing, it's just certain words that don't come to mind. I know he probably was nervous, so I'll give him that. But, you know, when you start describing your kids, you're supposed to be giving a compassionate plea for people's help. You're supposed to be saying, man, we love these two little boys. You're supposed to be saying their age, what they had on. You know, please look for them. They're out here somewhere. If just the neighbors on the street in this immediate community, it's not a big city at all. And on the side of town that they live, when you come in the main road to California City, their neighborhood is to the right. It's not much over there. So they could have pleaded a little bit more compassionate for people, like you say, to put boots on the ground. Right now, we need your help, you know, and they're telling people, you know, almost, you know, to me, the way this sounds is they're trying to get the sympathy of the police, not to look at them as suspects. It's almost like they're trying to big up the police. Like, yeah, make sure you call the police. They got the best guys out here.
Boys, and they're rambunctious and they're into stuff. So they were into leaving. You know, that's kind of what it sounds like.
Nah, that couldn't happen. These two little kids, they're not going too far. And if they do go somewhere, the more neighbors you got outside on the street, somebody gonna say, hey, they over there back there. They under this truck. They didn't crawl in this car right here or whatever, you know, mischievous kids do. But they didn't want that. They didn't want people to get involved. They wanted to be able to go back in their house. You see, she already trying to end the press conference. She already thanking people, man. If my kid was missing, I ain't done talking till they cut the lights off and the camera say, hey, no more. We ran out of film. You know, she already trying to wrap it up. Why are you trying to wrap the press conference up? You should be doing any and everything you can to get the word out. And this is the very moment your kid just got missing. Come on, man. That don't have no ring of truth to me at all. At all.
Mm-hmm.
So if make sure. That's it. Because I don't. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. If you got any questions.
Oh no, you're good.
Oh, okay.
I was just gonna say, this is the first time we're hearing from you guys, and I can't imagine what you guys are going through. I can't even fathom it. For you guys, for people who are thinking that there's some kind of foul play involved. We just spoke to the biological mother. She says she had a conversation with you guys, and that she thinks there's some kind of foul play involved. That she thinks you guys did something.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, that's exactly the point. And if we can find our babies, then guess what? That's no.
Hey, they talking nervous jitter because she's sitting there co-signing saying, yep, and shaking her head like this. The lady said that she think you guys some foul play and you guys did it. She going like this. Yep. And then they can't even come up with their own little lines. Everything he say, she say. That's understandable. Yeah, that's understandable. I don't know. Just this whole little act, it's not sellable. It's not believable. And I'm not trying to prejudge but since there's kids involved, one of them two murdered them kids. And both of them is involved because at some point, if they both not involved with the murder, the other one knew about it and helped them cover it up. So I feel like whatever happens to one should happen to two. But more than likely, they're going to get one to go against the other to get the bodies and to get the true story.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to the press conference from the DA as the DA reveals more information. I'm just going to play it and you'll hear it in the background.
To my right, to my left, are two chiefs of the lead agencies in this case that did most of the work. Bakersfield Police Chief Greg Terry and California City Police Chief John Walker. Chief Terry, would you like to say a few words?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. This is not the outcome that we and so many had hoped and prayed for over the last year. Our thoughts and prayers go out to the families of Orrin and Orson who, with this news today, their worst fears have been realized. I want to express my pride and appreciation to our homicide team, who invested so much personally and professionally to find the truth in this investigation. We now realize that the search for the boys began after the real tragedy had already occurred. But it is the work and diligence of the investigators, our partners, California City Police Department, the FBI, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and many, many other law enforcement agencies, community members, our own community members, and members of the public. That diligence, that refusal to give up is why we are here today. I also want to express my appreciation to our District Attorney, Cindy Zimmer, for her leadership and for her commitment to the safety of our. What I would say is this is not a resolution in this case. And there will not be a resolution completely in this case until these boys are brought home.
Thank you, Chief Terry. Chief Walker, would you like to address the audience?
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Let me emphasize, first and foremost, this is a tragedy, an absolute tragedy. It was reported in my city that two small boys could be killed by their parents. But I do have to say how proud I am of my department from the second we got the call until we brought in so many resources, and we're very grateful for that. But the second we got the call, we were on scene. We began to work it and look for these kids. And we had so many agencies involved, Kern County Sheriffs, the Search and Rescue, CHP came with their helicopter to help us. But the citizens of Cal City came out in numbers to look for these kids. And then it began to grow to the outlying communities and eventually across the nation. We were getting people who were interested and they wanted to know where these kids were, as long as we believe are no longer here, that are dead. And that's terrible. But again, I want to thank the district attorney, Cindy Zimmer, for helping us to try to come to some kind of resolution with this. But again, the bottom line is we have 2 small boys that we believe are no longer here, that are dead, and that's terrible. But again, I want to thank the district attorney, Cindy Zimmer, for being brave and diligent to push this forward and actually bring this case to the surface. So we will push forward. We haven't given up, and we'll continue to give them any kind of help that they would need.
In ensuring that there will be justice for Orrin and Orson. This case has tugged at the heartstrings of people in my office and in law enforcement and in this community. It is a horrific tragedy that these precious little boys had to lose their lives. But I want to thank everyone who was involved in this case. Law enforcement officers, it must have been so difficult for them, who searched for Orrin and Orson. The community members that came out and helped search, and then the community members that just continue to care about what happened to them. So, if you have any questions, that's the end of my comments, but keep in mind there are ethical restraints as far as what we can talk about prior to the trial in this case.
Well, let me try.
Thank you. I think he had his hand up first.
Thank you, District Attorney. How can we confirm that the boys had died 3 months prior to their reported disappearance if bodies haven't been found? Can you kind of explain how that works?
No, I cannot, but I can tell you the facts in court will show that we were able to prove that to the grand jury, that the boys have died, that they were murdered. And we did that through a combination of direct and circumstantial evidence. And the grand jury was convinced that they were dead. Thank you.
All right. So if you guys, I'm not sure if you were able to hear the question, but what the guy asked, because they had basically said that the boys had been dead 3 months prior to them trying to act and concoct this story of a disappearance. And what the reporter asked was, how can you be so sure that they died 3 months prior? And what evidence do you have to prove that they died 3 months prior? And that was her basically saying, we were able to give enough evidence for the jury to be convinced that it happened 3 months prior. And I'm sure that probably boils down to surveillance footage of them not ever being on surveillance footage throughout that time.
Given that you say that they died 3 months before this was reported, and the fact that Giselle and Jacqueline lived in Bakersfield and then moved to California City, Chief Walker, do you believe, can anybody say whether Orrin and Orson were ever in California City to begin with?
Mr. Gaspar, that's a good question, and that's something we're going to answer during the trial.
Can't say more than that.
We cannot go into the facts of the case.
As far as trying a case without a body, because since I assume you don't know where the boys are. Is that right?
We don't know where their bodies are. That's what I said.
Okay. So you don't know where their bodies are. What will that present kind of a difficulty in trying this case without a body? Public out there has at least some that I've run into say, well, they can't try somebody without a body. How are they going to do that?
As I explained in my earlier statements, no body homicides are tried all the time. And we have evidence that was sufficient to convince the grand jury, and we have sufficient evidence that we believe will convince a jury that they are not alive, and we have evidence.
Have you tried a case here without a body before?
Yes, we have tried to successfully, at least that I know off the top of my head. I have those names, the Leonard Bryce Thomas case and the Daniel Rhodes case, successful murder convictions. And there may be more, but those are two that I can remember. Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about why second-degree murder in this case rather than first?
No, I cannot. I can't really discuss the theory of liability in the case because that would involve the facts.
And then also, I'm so sorry, one more question. Can you talk a little bit about why you guys decided to go down the grand jury route and attain that rather than the average procedure?
I've done over 20 grand jury indictments myself throughout my career. It is something that we commonly do on homicide cases, which involve calling live witnesses. And also sometimes we do it because there has to be a little bit of starting and stopping regarding scheduling. A preliminary hearing is continuous. You don't have start and stops. And at a grand jury hearing, you can do 2 days of testimony 1 week, 1 day, so there are a variety of reasons that we considered in this case. And a lot of, if you look back on some of our high profile homicide cases, most of them did go to grand jury. Yes.
We have unconfirmed reports that a white RV was pulled over by law enforcement yesterday at Highway 43 and Highway 58. And some were saying this was possibly where Giselle and Jacqueline were taken into custody. Are you able to confirm that? And also, near Potomac Avenue, the neighborhood where Giselle and Jacqueline have been living with his parents after they moved back from California City, there was a helicopter with a searchlight going over around, I want to say 7, 8 o'clock last night. Can you confirm that that was looking for Giselle and Jacqueline?
The defendants, Trezell and Jacqueline West, were taken into custody last night around 7 p.m. by the Bakersfield Police Department in western Kern County.
How did that happen? How did you find out that the Winnebago that was there? We had spotted it earlier in the day in Edison, and then it was the same Winnebago that you guys found yesterday. How can you say what tipped you off that the Winnebago was there at Enos Lane and Highway 58?
No. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What does this say about the vetting and background process for adults?
Why can't they say what tipped them off? I don't understand that. Even if they're gonna present more evidence at trial, some of the stuff that she's being asked, normally when they do press conferences, a lot of the stuff that they're asking, they're able to say without.
Well, let me tell you this. It's 2 reasons. It's more than 2, but I'll give you these 2. A lot of times when they speak, it becomes public information. So then their attorney has, he's privy to that information, and they can set up their alibis based off of what they made public information. But also, a lot of times they don't reveal stuff because when they go to do interrogations, they want to see what you're going to lie about. And then they'll reveal, no, you didn't go there because we have been watching this Winnebago for 2 days. You get what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things they won't say because they'll give the defendant an opportunity to get his story straight or to kind of tailor his story to fit what he knows they already know. You get me?
Right. That's true.
It could be a lot of more reasons too, I'm sure. But that's just a few of them.
Ma'am, it's not the job of the district attorney to talk about those types of things. It's the job of the district attorney to look and see if a crime was committed and bring those guilty parties to justice. Ma'am, it's not the...
How did that happen? How did you find out that the Winnebago that was there earlier in the day in Edison? How can you say what tipped you off that the Winnebago was there at Enos Lane and Highway 58?
No.
A little bit because I didn't hear the woman.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What does this say about the vetting and background process for adopting parents in Kern County?
Ma'am, it's not the job of the district attorney to talk about those types of things. It's the...
Oh, okay. So basically what the woman said is what did it say about y'all as it pertains to the vetting process of the adoptive parents? And I think that's something that you were talking about, Alfila, how you said, how do we know that they're good people? Just because they haven't been arrested, that doesn't mean that they are good parents, good people. It needs to be more safeguards than just, oh, you never been arrested before.
Well, back in the day, it wasn't so many people coming into the system, so many young people. And so the system is kind of older, you know what I mean? To where, like I said, if it's an issue that happens at night, a kid in a home, they'll just get on the phone because it's a social worker that maybe have 20 kids. So they'll rely on her to say, hey, can you call so-and-so? She did it for us last time, and see if she can take this kid overnight or for 3 days, So they kind of get to see as they go, the moral, conduct of people and their character as they get to know people, and then they try to play certain kids with them. But just straight up from the rip, it's just something that they set up to kind of vet a mass amount of people that want to get into the foster parenting system. You know what I mean?
Right. I think people in the comments were trying to wonder what the boys' real names were. That was another thing. Like, y'all got these kids, y'all changed their names to fit your family, and you just did this. It's crazy. But their original names was Sincere and Classic, and they changed their names to Oren and Orson. They wanted more whitewash names. They were like, we don't like Sincere and Classic. We want to give them more, whitewash names of Oren and Orson, acting like they cared about these boys, and just did this is crazy. But their original names were Sincere and Classic, and the adoptive parents changed their names. At this time, if you guys want to call in, I'm going to be live for about 15 more minutes. We're going to stop this at an hour and a half. Y'all know I end stuff abruptly, so I'm telling y'all ahead, we got 15 minutes more to chat. I'm going to drop the StreamYard link in the chat. The StreamYard link is for video only. So if you want to be on video and give your thoughts, click the StreamYard link. Okay. If you want to call in, I will be putting the call in number on the screen. So first, I'm going to drop the StreamYard link in the chat. I'm going to allow Alfila to give his thoughts while I open up the phone lines.
But the first thing I want to say is to Sincere and his brother, like, we really love y'all, man. And I know you're not here to hear that. I just wish they would have received some more love, before they went to their final, journey destination to see God. And it's a shame that, a lot of these kids, they already going through so much to even get placed in the foster system. You know what I mean? And when you got kids this young, 3 and 4, they really are at the mercy of the parents, And I just think it's double sad, and it hurts my heart to the fact that they had to be placed in the system, and then they get in the system, and then they get placed with these two people that fail them. And it's just sad, man. You could just almost imagine if death was the final outcome, what kind of life did they live with these two people? And even before, they got into the foster system, what kind of life did they live that had them going into the foster system, And I got a big heart for kids, and I just say, man, love your babies, love your neighbor, love on the little kids when you drop your kids off, and make it a point, man, to be good to a kid, because you don't know what a kid's going through. It's like the kids that my sister got when they go to their schools. I'm sure they share, some of their stories with the kids, and the kids gauge, okay, they're foster kids, and the teachers know. But imagine how these kids, they see what other kids see. They see their dads picking them up and their moms picking them up, and so if you just got a heart for kids, man, when you see a kid out there, make time for them, man. Especially if you see that they need somebody in their life, Invite a kid over, the loner down the street if their parents say it's cool, and show them how y'all live and what y'all doing in y'all household, because a lot of times kids is at the mercies of some people that's not really worthy, to have kids, And I would just like to say, no, we love you. We love them kids, man. I drove all the way to California City. I touched all the little teddy bears that was on the floor. I walked through the little driveway to go through the house, and I feel their spirit. You know what I mean? And I just pray for them little boys, man. I'm so glad that these people are being held to judge, And I just hope the whole story comes out as far as where they are, so they can have a proper burial. And I just pray for the family too, because all those cousins and aunties, they seem like they really, really love them kids, So I pray for them too, because we're on the outside of the bubble looking in. So everybody inside the bubble, they really, really hurting. So I pray for them too. And I ask y'all to pray for the family too.
All right. Thank you for that. All right, we're gonna go to Kiera. What is your thoughts? Before you give your thoughts, I want to remind the people I just dropped the StreamYard link in the chat. The StreamYard link is for video calls only. If you want to call in, the call-in number is right here at the bottom of the screen. So to call in on your phone, if you don't want to be on video, the number is 563-999 3643. If you want to call in via video, then you click the StreamYard link. All right, go ahead, Kiara.
So I think, honestly, I think the biological mom should sue child services because she was. They told her she needed to do like the classes and all of that, which she did. So I don't understand how they were able to adopt her, the kids, and this should never happen. And I really hope that they both get the death sentences to both of them because they're wrong. Like this is a really sad story. I've been listening to you cover the story for a year now, and it's sad, very sad.
What do you think as it pertains to them not being recovered but still being charged?
Being covered, I feel like the only reason why they're being charged and they haven't found the bodies yet is because of the fact of them not being seen for how long, and for them to just abruptly move from one county to another. I think that's probably one of the main reasons why they're getting charged and was able to get charged with those charges.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Pierre, for coming on.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Renette, in the chat. Renette sends in a $10 super chat and says, thanks for covering Orrin and Orson West. Thank you, Renette, for the donation. If there's anybody else who wants to support the channel, I do have my Cash App on the screen that helps the channel. Also, if you have not hit the like button at this point in time, definitely hit the like button right now on the video and share the video. When you guys share my videos on Instagram and you tag me, I repost, like sometimes like people will be watching the video and then they'll like screen record certain parts of the live. If you tag me, most times I will reshare it on my Instagram. So that is definitely dope as well when you guys share and tag. All right, let's go to the phone lines. I'm not taking any anonymous calls. I see that I have some anonymous calls. I'm not taking anonymous calls. If you guys want to call in, call in. I'm not going to call you back. Call in from your number so that just for myself, when people troll, I know who the trolls are. Let's go to 7686. Hello?
Hi, good evening, Nick. How are you this afternoon?
Hey.
I just had a quick question. I've been following this since it's been happening, and I know they had other children in their household. Whatever happened with them?
I don't remember what exactly happened with the other children. I think that they were placed in foster care themselves, I think. From what I remember, I think they took the kids from their custody, if I'm not mistaken. But I haven't heard an update about the kids that were in the home.
Oh, okay. Because I wanted to know that they interview any of the other children, in reference to when was the last time they saw Olsen and Orrin.
Yeah, I believe that's probably some of the information that we will get once it goes to trial.
Okay. Okay. Well, that was the only question I had. I thought maybe someone else heard something else.
Yeah, I remember when they first happened, I remember that there was reports that the kids had been removed and placed in foster care.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Okay, well, thanks.
All right. Before I go to the next caller, 7171, be ready for me to take your call. But there was a time where the adoptive grandparents spoke out. So I'm gonna play that real quick because the father of these adoptive kids, his parents had spoke out at the time. So I'm gonna play that real quick, and then I'm going to go to more of your calls. So 7171, be ready, don't hang up. I'm gonna come to you in just a second.
Know that they were really good parents as far as I was concerned.
We offered a reward out of our own pockets.
That reward for 4-year-old Oren and 3-year-old ABC News.
I just know that they were really good parents as far as I was concerned.
We offered a reward out of our own pockets.
That reward for 4-year-old Oren and 3-year-old Orson increasing to $120,000.
Children who are missing that we love and care about and are trying to find.
Right now, there are people outside the home talking about where are the boys.
Police have not named any suspects.
I'm working so hard, literally day and night, to find these kids.
The boys were adopted in 2019 and disappeared.
I hate the way the news chops up interviews when they speak to people. Like, if y'all gonna say the adoptive parents spoke out, then let me hear from what the heck they got to say.
Thanks for checking out our
child. All right, well, let me play. They let them say 2 words and they chop to something else. Like, girl. But anyways, that was the adoptive that was the people
grandparents
parents. Now let me play the biological father's interview because he is now trying to sue the who was he trying to sue? He was trying to sue somebody, child, in this case as it pertains to the children. So let me go to the biological father.
So I don't want my kids to be deceased. I want them to come back home because my kids is all I got. After my parents go, it's just me and my kids.
Charles Pettis is the biological father of Oren and Orson, whose birth names were Classic and Sincere. The boys were removed from their biological mother's home by Child Protective Services and adopted by Trezell and Jacqueline West in September of 2020.
I was going through family members' phones and they were showing it and we watched the news and that's how we found out. We didn't even know that they sent them out to some different people.
The West reported Oren and Orson missing from their California City home 3 months later on December 21st. Since then, the boys' biological family has held monthly prayer vigils and conducted their own searches, but no sign of the boys. The Bakersfield.
All right. That's the biological father speaking out. Thanks, Itzy Zaza, for the donation. Aquarius gang in the house, in the building. But yeah, I hate the way that the news be chopping up interviews. Like, if y'all gonna say that this person spoke out, let them speak before you keep chopping in and chopping out stuff. Let me scoot it over some.
Lost another child in an accident. He's remaining hopeful he will see his sons again.
Because they took my family, they took my life away from me. My kids is my life. No matter how long it take, how hard it's gonna be, I won't give up. I will never give up.
In Bakersfield, Christian Gillette.
All right, let's go to the phone lines. 7171. Hello.
Hey, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how are you?
Doing fine. So I have a couple of thoughts. So first off, I think we all should get into calling these boys by their birth names, because the parents, the adoptive parents obviously didn't have any good intentions by these boys. So I'm going to be calling them now Classic and Sincere. With Classic and Sincere, it's shocking it's crazy to even know that the kids probably didn't even make it to California City. Another thing too is that you can tell by the camera probably didn't even pick up these kids in the field. The camera that's in the field, you could see that was pointing to the parking area of the West parents, and they probably didn't even see any kids going in. And the neighbors already stated we never saw any kids playing outside except for probably the biological kids. Another thing too is seeing the biological father interview just now, is that touched my heart. But my thing is, it's like, what's going on with the CPS? With CPS, it's like, why didn't you let these kids with their father? Then I question, like, okay, did the father may have had a felony charge and they don't want to give children to a parent was a felony charge. However, if that was their father and he was already raising them with that felony charge before CPS even got involved, why should it even matter that he even has a felony if that's the case of why y'all did not let this father take his children, raise his children, not even adopt his children. No, those are his biological children. He had every right to raise those kids. So I also call the foster homes, I call those underage brothels, because that's what they're there. You already know what's going to happen to them while they're at these foster homes. Why would you put these two young men in a random person's home when they have family that wanted to take care of them? You think if they really want these children in their lives, do you think they're going to risk that by letting the biological parents in the same home as them? No. They're going to, take all precautions, make sure that the parents do what they got to do to prove that they're good on raising their children again. And they did a lot to that woman, the biological mother. She pretty much had a early childbirth for the second child because they was taking the first child away from her. That's what she almost had. Yeah, pretty much she almost had a stillbirth because the stress they put on her during that situation. But
all right,
like you said, we're gonna, I apologize, to keep talking, but yeah,
all
that's
right.
how I feel.
Well, thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate that.
Appreciate you, bro.
All right. Thank you so much to Charze for the donation. Thank you so much to S. Ferris for the donation as well. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, especially on coverage and topics like this, because when it comes to like missing kids and these type of like stories, YouTube doesn't really care to like monetize on it. So the support of the people goes
90
a long way.
seconds.
So I appreciate that. That is a 90-second timer telling me that we've been talking for 15 minutes, but I have so many people in the queue. I'm going to try to get through more of you guys. 5781. Hello?
Hello?
Hey, can you cut it
Hello?
off in the back?
Yes. How you doing, Nick?
I'm doing well.
That's good. My name is Tamara, and I'm so glad you covered this story because I have been
60
watching
seconds.
it from the beginning, and it just really breaks my heart. It's so sad.
Yes.
It is.
Yeah, and I was listening to the other gentleman talk about foster care and stuff, and I'm actually a foster child myself. I was in several foster homes, and I ended up getting adopted when I was 16. So I kind of relate to what he's saying about the homes and stuff, but there are some good foster parents. So I had a good foster mom that
Amen.
ended up adopting me. But I'm not gonna hold you too long, but I'm just so baffled by this story. Like I knew it had something to do with them adopted parents. I knew it. And I'm so glad you covered this story because I'm at work and I was watching you come up the
10
screen talking
seconds.
about it, and I was shocked. I was just shocked, like, oh my God. I've been thinking about them kids and thinking about them, and it's just so sad. It is really so sad.
Yeah, it's very sad and unfortunate that we've gotten to this point 14 months after they were reported and still no identification of the body. And, even without that, I'm glad that they're able to move forward because there was a lot of neighbor and witness accounts who never seen these boys. And there was a lot of neighbors who have footage who never seen them on their surveillance at all. So I think along with a lot of the other people that they probably never made it to California City and they booked it out of Bakersfield because of this incident. But thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate
Thank you.
it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Y'all have a nice evening.
All right.
You too.
All right. 9990. Hello? 9990.
Oh, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Doing great. I guess I've been following your show and I love your show and everything.
Thank you.
But my question is with the babies. I noticed that there's other family members. So there was no one in the family that could take them instead of them being put into foster care?
Well, let me say this real quick, because I noticed someone said earlier why the dad couldn't get him. But I believe the DA, her name was Cynthia Zimmer. She had said that the kids were originally taken out of the, I guess, family home. I don't know if the dad was there for child neglect. And they do have a process to where if other family members want to step up and get vetted, they can go through that process to see if they can get them. But I don't know what happened in that process, if someone stepped up or if they didn't or not, because it seemed like they were adopted out pretty quick from foster parenting to adoption pretty fast.
Right. And whenever there is family members who want to step up, unfortunately, just being family to them isn't good enough. You have to meet qualifications, and your home has to suit taking in these boys. So sometimes, let's say you live in a home, you already got your own kids, your kids got their bedrooms, you don't have a designated bedroom for the kids. They'll look at stuff like that and say, okay, well, you don't have the space for them, even though it's like we pile up all on the floor, we all, mats, on the ground. But to the system, they look at it like, oh, well, you got to have a designated room, they got to that. So there's a lot of qualifying factors that even a family member who may want to get them, they may not qualify under the guidelines of foster care.
Okay. That makes sense. I was just wondering because I've seen some of the family members, they was out there. Of course, they upset, about the kids. And then I was just wondering why one of them didn't take the kids in. But what you say, yeah, that does make sense.
Yeah,
You know what usually happens?
We live in our own lives. Like right now, I got a room, my daughter got a room, but I don't have extra space for other children, technically, So it's like,
okay,
I could put bunk beds in there and add another, you know what I'm saying? But it's like a lot of people already got their own, it's we live in California, and they live in California. So our rent and stuff is high. So, you're going to crunch down on bedrooms. So, it's a lot of factors that go into family getting them, So thank you so much.
A lot of times what happens is before they get in the system, a family member can step up and say, no, we're going to send it to auntie so-and-so or cousin's house, and a lot of that goes on. But unfortunately, once they placed in the system has the jurisdiction and the liability to so-called keep these kids safe. And then they have to get vetted through their process to get them out of the system.
Right.
It's just the way it's set up.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay.
All right.
Appreciate you.
I see someone just joined the StreamYard link. The StreamYard link is for video only. The call-in number is on the screen. If you want to just do audio, you have to call the call-in number. But the StreamYard link is for video calls only. 6674. Hello. 6674. Caller with the last 4, 6674. All right. 8118. Hello. Eight 118. I'm not sure why I don't hear them. Maybe because I set the thing for only 15 minutes, but after that, I still could get calls. All right, click the StreamYard link if you want to do audio only. Let me end the call in. I don't know what's going on. Why I don't hear nobody?
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio.
Because I said it to only be here for 15 minutes now. But all right, just click the StreamYard link, video or audio. Click the StreamYard link. Kim, if you are just tuning in, the update is that the adoptive parents have been charged with murder, and they are presuming that the boys were missing 3 months or murdered 3 months prior to them alleging that the boys had went missing. So that is the update. The 2 adoptive parents who were out are now booked. Okay? So audio or video, you could click the StreamYard link, and I'm gonna allow a couple more. I don't know why I can't hear 8118 or the last caller. Maybe because I set a short show because I was about to be in and out. But
Hey, let me chime in real quick while you do that. I just want to tell people and all the viewers listening, maybe you can even tell a friend. There's millions and millions of kids out here that are looking for, parents to love them, and a lot of them come from very abusive backgrounds. For whatever reason, they were placed into the system, and if God puts on your heart to just, and you're that type of person and you cut for that, look into being a foster parent, because there's millions and millions of I won't say millions, I'm probably exaggerating, but there's a lot of kids that's just looking for some good parents, and they'll be good kids to you. They want to be good. They want to be someone's kid. So I would say look into being a foster parent, and it could change your kid's life, and it could also change your life.
All right. All right, I'm gonna give people a little bit more because I did tell y'all don't click the link if it's just audio, but I don't know what start happening with the call-in. I said it for a short show, but there was a lot more of y'all who had called in, so I do apologize for that. Chrissy, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing good. So I just wanted to call because I have been following the story. I'm actually a social worker in DC, and I've been noticing a trend with CPS. And quite honestly, it really made me ashamed to be a social worker because of the things that I'm starting to see in other states in regards to the kidnapping of children. There are a lot of different factors that go into place before you decide to remove children and put them in care. And the first goal is always reunification. What I'm saying is that children are getting injured and killed in foster care homes than if you would have just worked on putting the family back together and putting resources in place. And I don't know whether there's some sort of deals that, people in politics have with CPS. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
The last thing you said was you don't know if there's
I'm
a deal
sorry. Can you
in
hear
place
me?
with politicians.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Oh, I can. Okay, sorry about that. I was having a call. I don't know what type of deals there are, like in the background, whether it's some kickbacks of removing children and taking them. I don't know what's going on, but within the last 5 years, there has been so many black babies taken from their families, and it really is. It's making me disgusted because that's not what CPS is all about. That's not what being a social worker is all about. We should never have one death of a child who goes inside of foster care, get adopted out, and then they're murdered, missing. And it's become, my coworker, who's a social worker, lost her 14-year-old niece. She was placed in foster care because her mother had issues. They gave everybody in the family so much hassle. Oh, that God can't share a room, and they gotta have their own living space. Everything that you guys said, that is true. And I'm on the inside saying it's true. Oh, they gotta go to somebody, but you won't give a family member, you won't say, hey, let's put you in a bigger place. Let's give you a voucher and you can get a 5-bedroom to take your niece, nephew, or cousin. But I will give a foster parent $1,500.
Right. That's a good
And my
point.
and my
It's like if you
coworkers,
have
who's
a
a
family
social worker, niece been missing
she can't hear me.
since 2019. They just found her bones last month, and she was 14.
Mhm.
That's what's happening. It's very sad. I'm not surprised. It's happening all the time. CPS, I seen in the comment, does need an overhaul. I got out of CPS, which is removal of children, and I'm in nonprofit. working on out of home, which is bringing families together and putting in resources because I just couldn't take it anymore. And when I had twins, when I had children of my own, I just couldn't take it anymore. So it does need an overhaul. And then you have people in position that don't look like us making the decisions that don't understand the culture.
All right. Thank you so much,
That's
caller.
all I wanted to say. I can't hear you guys. But thank you so much for having me and giving me this platform to kind of discuss on your show because it's becoming a serious issue and it hurts to see our babies like this. But my question would be is, okay, dad wasn't around, doesn't say anything was wrong with him, but our fathers need to start stepping up and taking these babies. It don't fight for it. I don't care if you gotta go call every lawyer you can find, take pro bono. I will work. I will do whatever. Get your children out of the system. Get them out the system. They don't belong there. Moms need resources and support. That mom don't need to be going through losing her babies when she had to get herself together. They could have worked with her with them kids inside of the home. Thank you.
Thank you so much. But what she said, I was. It's sad that I couldn't go back and forth with her because I did want to big her up on the point that she made. These foster parents, and like I was telling y'all, it's a lot of stipulations of households of where they have to have their designated space, they have to have their own room. And what she made, the point that she made was a good one. And it does beg the question of why it's not like that, because it's better to give a child to a familiar relative. And it's like, if you can give the $1,500 a month or $2,000 a month to a foster parent, why is there not a program to give a voucher to families to get a bigger home to support their relatives in their homes? If you could give a foster parent 2,000, 1,500, why can't you give a voucher to a family member to get a bigger place so that they can take in one of their relatives? That seems like that would be something easy, but that's not a thing. And that caller made a very, very good point. Like, if you could give this person, why can't you, you know what I'm saying? That
So
was
you know what it is? It needs to be overhauled, like she was saying, and like we were talking about, because a lot of times when you enter the system has already come all the way down from the lawmakers and all of the people who approve the certain stipends for kids and the money is the way it's going to be distributed, divided by how many foster kids in America. And so once they overhaul it, maybe they can, get with housing. That's a federal agency around the world. And maybe they can say, hey, you don't qualify for housing, but if you have a foster kid or if you adopt a kid, then you qualify. And maybe these other agencies need to get involved. And I think that that's why things are slipping through the crack, because these people really, they don't have a lot of resources. I mean, just for me listening to my sister and the calls she gets and the things she tells me, they don't have resources. It's just like a bunch of good people working together trying to make things happen. But you would think that they could call housing and get housing involved and say, hey, this girl right here lives in an apartment. We need her in a 5-bedroom house, and she's going to take these 3 kids so they can stay together instead of sending 2 over here and 1 over there, or just whatever they can place them. It needs to be overhauled. Like the caller was talking about.
right, right. A lady 747.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you for this show today. Meek, this is great. What I'm going to say is might not be popular opinion, but
Right.
we cannot expect the system to be overhauled to accommodate our inability to control our reproductive systems. Okay? That's the bottom line. It's not going to get better, it's going to get worse. And meaning the system. It's only going to get worse. The country is getting broker and broker. They're having less and less patience with poor people. So until we put huge uh, penalty, personal penalty on people having children that they cannot afford, this will not change. We cannot expect any system, anybody else to take our slack when we can't afford our kids. I mean, that's the bottom line. Yes, we pay taxes into the system, but we've been paying taxes into the system for hundreds of years and it's always been bad. What makes you think it's going to get any better? So
Well,
start.
what person who called previous, it wasn't taking more from us or less from us. We're already paying into this system. So if you have a family who needs more assistance and you can't, and the parents, because there's more than just financial reasons why a child is removed from a home. There is, in this case, where they felt like the children were neglected and not taken care of as they should have been. So you can have financial resources, but there's abuse, there is neglect, there is other aspects as to why a child might be removed. And in those instances, what the caller said, it wasn't saying us pay more into the system. It was saying the allocated funds that you guys already are using to pay these strangers to take in these kids, if you remove a child for abuse, if you remove a child for neglect, if you remove a child for anything like that, why not give it to a familiar relative and give them the resources that we're already paying into so that they can have bigger accommodations and care for these kids within the family instead of giving them to total strangers who have no tie or relation to them and just looking for, a paycheck.
I agree with both of you guys because, like she's saying, people do need to control, childbirth, use protection, and all that. I get it, but sometimes once we're past that and we're trying to accommodate that with a broken system, we kind of need to do both. We need to try to fix the system to accommodate, those that are here. And also, yes, we do need to be more responsible as human beings when it comes to us having sex and maybe not really wanting a kid. So I agree with both of you guys. I just hope somewhere that we can all find, a common ground to where the kids can benefit. Because at the end of the day, we do not want to forget that these little kids, they don't really have a voice past being a kid. Anything that's pretty much done from how they eat, where they go to school, to what they do is governed by adults, just like we was raised. Fortunate enough, through all our parents' trials and tribulations, they kept us right there on their hip, right? But sometimes, some parents can't do that. Sometimes we haven't even discussed. Sometimes it's just a mental issue. A parent goes into a mental hospital and they automatically deem them, not able to take care of their kids, and their kids are taken for their own protection. It's a lot of scenarios to how people end up in these foster parent homes and all these unideal situations. And we also know that a lot of kids get killed in their own homes. So we don't want to just say this is only happening to foster parents. Because this is happening to little kids. Things are being done to little kids all the time. So that's why I always make the blanket statement of love on the kids, man. Show the kids some love. If you don't got your own kids, you got some nieces, nephew, kids in the neighborhood, always be that person to slow down and have a little time for them. The world is going so fast now, and the grown-ups, we just so spent out on just, everything, all the internet and all the stuff being thrown at us. But these are the kids, these are the ones coming up after us. And we should try to make it better for them to have a nice life as they grow up like we did, because a lot of them don't have the traditional things we did, like a mom and a dad.
You're right. I agree with you 100%. And Nick, I agree with you and what the caller was saying 100%. When I was speaking about poverty, I was just speaking about that one specific area. But to that, the fewer children who are in the system because of poverty, the more room there is for children to be in the system because of emergency situations, like someone not being mentally, physically capable of taking care of them. You make space for those kids. So
Yeah.
thanks again. That's all I had to say.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for calling in with a difference of or a different perspective as well. I appreciate that. Thank
You're
you so
welcome.
much for calling in.
You're welcome.
All right. All right, so we have went well over the time that I said I was gonna be here, but I just wanted to hear from y'all because there was so many people who had called in on the call number. I'm sorry I couldn't get to all of you guys. It started tripping out because I only said it to 15 minutes, but everybody was so passionate and talking way longer than that. But I guess we can end it there. If there is more information that comes out in the trial of like what tipped them off, how they were for sure about the determination that it had happened 3 months prior. Once those things are revealed, I will update you guys again. Thank you, Alfila, for coming on and
Anytime.
giving your perspective as well on this. And thank you guys who donated, sent in super chats, and sent in cash apps. That helps this channel out a lot. And if you don't have a donation, that's fine. You can help the channel by liking the video. So on your exit, if you have not liked the video yet, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to hit that subscribe button as well to be updated on more things as it pertains to this case. If you guys are not following Alfila on Instagram, you can follow Alfila as it's spelled on his shirt. Alfila and then _. Thank you so much, Kenya, for the 1999 super sticker. And I'll see you guys on